everyone.
Thank you. Good.
Well, tell us about your character. This sounds interesting.
Hawkgirl is a complete badass warrior. One of the main things that really struck me about her when I started doing research was that DC originally created Hawkgirl in 1941.
Wow.
So the fact that DC was creating badass females 80 years ago, it's hard to even get people to do that now. So the fact they were doing that so long ago just really struck me as unique. And as exciting as finding that out was, it also became very daunting when you realize you're dealing with an 80-year history of a character that the fans have had more life with than I have. So you're trying to take her history, her previous iterations, find the common ground between those, retain that, and then as an artist, selfishly, you want to bring your own twist to something and have ownership. So it's really trying to find that balance. What keeps the fans happy, what keeps it in the franchise and keeps it true, but also brings it to 2022, makes it relevant, and makes it my own. So that's kind of the challenge.
You haven't had much experience with Hawkgirl on anything really, on TV, on whatever. What did you bring to the character that you hope stays with this character in iterations to come?
You know, I think she's a beautiful representation of the females in our armed forces in real life, the real heroes who are doing this, where they're so motivated by wanting to save their home, their country, their people. That can be lost sometimes in someone's aggression. And so it can be hard to understand that that's coming from love, right? And so with Hawkgirl, I think as you see her interact with all these new types of people that she normally would avoid all the time, you start to understand her a little bit more, and it becomes less one note. You start to see her layers when she's forced to work with her enemy. She's forced to reconcile with the fact that they have something in common, they have common goals, and I think that's something that we can use more of in society in general. People you don't understand, you don't like, that you hate, whatever, trying to find that common ground, because it's going to be there. Once you take your wall down and you realize it's much easier to make progress and solve problems that way, you know? So that's something I hope that people see and carry it out with them.
And how essential is it for especially women and girls to read comics and to have those kind of strong female characters?
I think it's extremely important, especially in a world like comics or video games where it's more of a male presence. You want to be able to indulge yourself in the things you love, but it can also be depressing if you're never seeing representation of yourself. So to be able to provide that is an honor and a huge responsibility, because you want them to know that they're seen, heard, and considered, and you want to give them a chance to feel like they can participate. You know, it's like you want to give them a character that they can dress up as, that they can do, you know? I don't have the abs that Hawkgirl does. We can't all wear her outfit, but we can try.
Some of us should try. Speaking for myself.
What were some of the challenges of making the film during COVID?
Well, we actually just missed COVID. We did it prior, but the way that a lot of voiceover works is that you're not in the same room as anyone else. So even though COVID didn't necessarily force us to do it that way, that's kind of common in voiceover. Today here at Comic-Con is the first time that all four of us have been in the same room.
Wow.
Which is super unique and is a challenge when you're not hearing other people's performances. But it's also what made it really exciting when we finally got to watch it, because seeing the characters in relation to one another just heightens each of their qualities. And I felt like it just made it so much more fun to not necessarily know what take Brian had on Adam Strange. You know, it's like to be kind of surprised and have it work even without having their performances in front of you is kind of a miracle, and it's like it's really fun to see.
Well, especially being the only woman in the cast, pretty much, that might be a little bit, you know, it's very much of a boys' club. How did that make you feel when you finally got to kind of be together with all of them and things like that?
That had to be louder. I had to be first. I had to. No, you know, it's definitely great that she's a part of it, with, you know, that she has such a large part as a female in a comic-based film. You know, but I still think that we can mess around with it a little bit more. It's hard in a rigid structure that has existed for that long, because fans don't necessarily want the change, but how do you reflect society's progress in what you're making, you know? How do you honor the history but also make it relevant? And so that's kind of a challenge with something like that, is, you know, people don't want to see a completely different version or a different gender, you know, but that's something that might need to be reconciled with soon.
Good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to ask, so are you a comic book nerd? What nerdy things do you have that you love to do?
That's a great question. Number one, I just like being around groups of nerds. Like, I like anyone who's got the same passion all in one place. So for me, it's like almost like coming to Comic-Con, like scratches that itch when you get to be around a whole group of people that are super nerdy about the same thing, and you get to watch them all thrive on each other's energy, and it's so much fun. I'm not necessarily an avid comic book reader, but animation generally has always been something that is exciting to me because as an actor you get to do things you wouldn't normally get to do, and so that medium has given way to being able to play these bigger, larger than life characters that you might not get to play on screen. So I definitely have appreciation, but we are in fans' house. This is not our house. We're in someone else's house here as guests, and that's kind of how I look at it, and I appreciate their passion.
Where do you think Hawkgirl oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Oh, wait, sorry. Where do you think Hawkgirl kind of fits in? We have like Jon Stewart, very stoic, very serious, and then you have Green Arrow. Seems like the take Jimmy's going is like the kind of a comedic sidekick kind of route. Where does Hawkgirl kind of navigate through that?
She doesn't waver. She's mission driven, and I think that keeps the ragtag bunch together and moving in the right direction. Kind of cracking the whip, like, quit being dumb, get over here. I've got shit to do. And compared to the other characters, I also think that she is a character of action more than words. She might not speak as much as others. For instance, her entrance is about 4 minutes of whacking things, and she doesn't say a single word. And I think that that's what makes her unique in the group, is that she doesn't have to spout off all this stuff. She's deliberate, she's a woman of few words, but she's a woman of action. And I think it helps to motivate the other characters.
It's like that saying, speak softly and carry a big stick kind of thing.
She carries a giant mace. Speak loud and carry a spiky mace. Yeah.